In the know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
You like that? You like that?
Welcome in. Daily Vikings entertainment. I would say mostly positive reviews on the last two episodes, the Monday and Tuesday episodes, the historical pie charts, where we dove into the two most torturous games in the history of Vikings football, the 09 championship game and then the 98 championship game. And there were some people saying, like, why would you ever put that out ever? Why would we talk about this? But then there's a lot of other people saying it was therapeutic for them to sort of relive these horrendous moments.
Can't please them all.
So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it was therapeutic for you. And we'll get you some additional historical pie charts later in the year. But today is a Write That Down Wednesday, presented by our friends over at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution at an affordable cost. Learn more at TCL.com. Inspire greatness with TCL, an official partner of the NFL. And Jeb, before we get going here, if you could tell the audience, it is that time of year where you want to look good out and about. How do you lose weight? How can you change your life this summer?
Well, that's going to come down to one simple contact, my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. Look at that guy right there, right? That sports dad looking lean, mean, fighting machine. And you know what? The last week or so, we've been encouraging you to send in your stories about your success with this program. And I've got one from Mike Gifford of Rapid City, South Dakota, who writes, after hearing about Judd's incredible weight loss success, I decided to become a client of the program. The staff has been fantastic, especially considering I live in Rapid City. Despite the long distance, we have been able to stay in regular contact via Zoom, and I sincerely appreciate the focus on both my physical and mental health. So far, I'm down 20 pounds with another 15 or so to go. Livia has been life-changing. So these are the type of stories. These are the type of stories that our Score North family has been telling us about this program because it works, and now it's your turn. If you are trying to drop weight, guess what? You can get the first 8 weeks for free, and I'm going to tell you that you can lose up to 20 pounds in that time. So 20 pounds off first 8 weeks, and those are free. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. Be like Mike. If you want to be like Mike, get it? And drop that weight today, thanks to Livia.
Wow,
like
look at
Mike.
this guy.
Like Mike.
No, we get it.
I want to be like Mike. No, sorry.
Here is how Write That Down works, by the way. 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody each week, or show-related. If you want to make a prediction about the show, you can do that too. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns. Listeners, if you want to participate, like our guy Alex is about to, you can send us a message through the Score North app. All right, boys, we're less than a month away from training camp here, too. So we've got actual football competition
we're almost through
coming
it,
up.
baby.
Let's go. All right, let's start with the accountability session. So in the absence of things coming off the board, and there's some things that came off the board this week, we're going to highlight predictions that are still on the board, just to remind you kind of what's still out there. So, Judd, you had nothing come off the board. You did say at least one assistant of KOC's coaching staff will be named an NFL head coach in the next 2 seasons. Last year was the first crack.
Yep.
Who do you think? I mean, Brian Flores? Probably.
Brian Flores.
Keenan McCardell.
Well, that's a good.
I don't know if he's a head coach yet, but I think he's rising up the ranks as well. He's very well respected.
He'd get a coordinator job probably first.
I'm going to self-report though. You missed one. I got wrong from last week. I said that Duran would be the Twins All-Star representative this season.
Well,
that's a different show.
That's a different show.
Oh,
yeah, this is
Purple Daily.
This is Purple Daily.
Oh my God! I'm not sorry.
Daily Vikings entertainment, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I was looking at the wrong thing. Hey, look, it was a long 4 days in Iowa. Okay?
Judd, how many Surlys did you drink in Iowa this week?
Oh, I didn't. It was not just Surly. I found these. Oh boy, no. It was a long weekend. I'm not even talk about it because our guest has to go. So I'm not even going to talk about it. Yeah, it's been a long 4 days.
We'll get to. So that wasn't the only one you got incorrect, by the way, on the other right there.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. Yep.
All right. I made Declan take his headphones off, and I said, I think he's going to get tricky on the Minneapolis Miracle pie chart. I don't think he's going to make Stefon Diggs the unanimous number one slice of pie for pie chart of praise. But I was wrong. He went chalk. He did give Stefon Diggs the biggest slice of praise. A prediction still on the board here. I said there will be a credible story reported sometime between whenever I made this and week 1 that Kirk Cousins is mentoring and embracing Jaron Hall. I didn't see any of those stories during the OTAs or mini camp, so I need training camp journalism to come through here.
It's a definite. If it's going to happen, it's 100% a training camp story.
Okay. Okay. Listeners, nothing came off the board. David said the Timberwolves will win a championship before the Vikings do.
Y'all could be waiting on this one for a long time.
Yeah, who do you think has the edge here?
Timberwolves. Declan's kids might have to use the accountability session someday to get this one off or on the board.
Yeah. Okay, and then Declan, you had 2 things come off the board. You said Steph and Clay would beat Mahomes and Kelsey in the match, and that Mahomes and Kelsey would not lead at any point. It was the opposite way.
Yeah, I know. I saw on the money line going into that, like Steph and Clay were like minus 270 to win that thing going forward. So I was like, oh, Mahomes and Kelsey, like they'll have no chance in this. Steph will mostly carry the team. No, it was actually a very competitive match, if you will.
Yeah, it was over. I mean, they extended it because Steph sank like a 20-foot putt on one of the last holes, and then Declan coming out with the USFL championship game here. The Stallions would beat the Maulers and cover the spread. It was a blowout victory.
Big win. Stallions.
For the Stallions. And so with that, Declan on the season here with a completion percentage lead, 37.5% completions. I'm at 34.1%. Judd, 33.3. Listeners, 29.2. Old Macadac has the most touchdowns with 5, ahead of Declan and Judd with 4. Business will pick up once we get into like training camp, preseason, and then obviously the games.
Let's go.
And then career Declan leading by just under 1 percentage point over Judd, 35.5 to 34.8. I'm at 32.4, but leading with touchdowns. Listeners, last place in completion percentage, 23.6. But they have the second most touchdowns with 28. These are career stats going back to 2021. All right, enough of this. Enough of the preamble here. Let's get Alex in, making his debut on Write That Down. What's up, Alex?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Thanks for coming on. You got the Justin Jefferson jersey back there. Give our audience a little background. When did you first become a suffering Vikings fan, Alex?
So I was born in 91. I remember my earliest Vikings memories. I liked watching Moss and Carter on the TV when I was a kid. And now it was just so much more fun than whatever the Bears were doing at that time, probably running the ball, playing defense. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to zig where everyone else is zagging. And I started watching the Vikings. I like the color purple. But it wasn't until Adrian Peterson was drafted that I really honed in and started watching every game. And so 2009 was my first heartbreak. And that show that you guys did. It wasn't therapeutic at all. I was with Sports Dad.
That's what I said.
Mr. Goff.
It was terrible.
It's sort of enraging because you're like, there's those 2 games, the 98 game too. There's no way if you played those games out 10 times each, the Vikings probably win 8 or 9. If 1 or 2 things of like a bin of 10 in both games goes differently, they're playing in a Super Bowl.
Anyway. One other thing I wanted to say is how amazing it is how many people you have on your show that are outside the state of Minnesota. And, the podcasting world became big, in like 2012, 2015, somewhere in there. And you guys like really have shaped us fans outside of the state of Minnesota to be able to follow along daily and contribute and stay informed on a level that we couldn't do without you. So thank you very much.
Wow, dude. That's an awesome compliment. We, I think, because we come from kind of and we'll get going here because we're going to do all your predictions up front here because you've got a time crunch, but we feel like we come from sort of the local radio world where you're like in radio, and there's streaming and stuff with radio, but we spent a lot of years talking to just Twin Cities and Minnesota Vikings fans. But to open that door now on podcast and YouTube and just see, I don't know that we understood how many Vikings fans are just scattershot, not just throughout the Midwest and Iowa, but like on coasts left and right, different countries. It's just kind of we knew that the Cowboys were big and that the Steelers travel well and stuff. I don't know that we knew the Vikings were on that level in terms of fan bases. So pretty cool.
All right, are we ready to jump into my predictions here?
Yes, we are.
I apologize to the Purple Daily community. I'm kind of messing things up, going out of order here. I do have a surgery I have to get going here for a foot and ankle surgeon, so I'm going to be a little quick here.
It's just surgery. Take your time with us.
But this is one of the most important things of my day. So I'm going to focus all my energy on this right now.
Sorry to whoever's about to have their wrong foot operated on. We apologize.
And I do have a purple surly here just for show. I can't crack this, obviously, for obvious reasons. But
thank you.
Momentum.
Why does my foot doctor smell like an IPA right now? This is weird.
Here, I'll pour some Furious on that ankle before I start.
But after the case, I'll toast to you guys. So the first, write this down here. In my opinion, Purple Day listeners, the ethos of the show is win one before we die, right? And as listeners, we should take a hold of that and we should go for this touchdown championship here. Okay, that's our best chance. Trying to throw for completion percentage, it's really hard for listeners. We want to get on here. It's our shot to shine. We're going to throw long bombs, right? But there's multiple ways to score touchdowns, right? You got the 99-yard burying touchdown. Or you have the little like Aaron Rodgers touchdown for 1 yard that gets you all the fantasy points, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we've had to watch those throughout the years. So this first one, I'm going to use the easiest way possible to get some touchdowns on the board, and I'm going to do a 3-leg parlay because typically these have been touchdowns in the past.
Yes, usually a three-item parlay is almost always touchdown level. Yes.
So my first, write that down. Over the course of the first 4 regular season games, number 1, Lewis Cine will play less than 50% of the total defensive snaps. Okay. Number 2, Brian Asamoah will play more than 50% of the total defensive snaps. And number 3, Caleb Evans will play more than 50% of the total defensive snaps.
Okay.
So my idea here is that Lewis Cine's going to come out slow. The tea leaves show that he's probably the fourth safety right now. He's coming off injury. But I do think that Brian Asamoah and Caleb Evans are going to be heavily relied upon early on this season.
Okay. Dex, you good?
Yep, I got that.
Okay.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right. Alex, your second prediction?
My second prediction, I think the Vikings run games take a big step this forward. And so write this down. The 2023 Minnesota Vikings in the regular season will run more 12 personnel. Will average more. Sorry. Oh, sorry. They'll run more 12 personnel. They'll average more yards per carry. And the expected points added per rush attempt will be higher than last year.
So you just go EPA per rush attempt, and the old Macadac will figure out at the end of the year. Oh, this is great. Yeah. This is like Alex is like one of the smartest people we've ever had on the show. He's a doctor who understands expected points added. I mean, this is just amazing.
Not messing around.
You know why, right? It's because everyone threw that in our face last year on why we were frauds. So you had to understand that to try to combat them, and ultimately we were wrong. Well, I was wrong.
Exactly.
And your third and final prediction.
My third one, I'm going to keep it simple. The 2023 Vikings offensive line will rank top 10 in overall PFF grade after the regular season this year.
Okay. Love it.
That's a recipe for success right there.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
That'd be good.
Down and dirty. All right, Alex. Well, since you've got this life-changing platform here on Purple Daily, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment before you go cut someone's foot open?
I just want to thank you guys. Like I said, thank you again for the platform. And as the foot and ankle surgeon cabinet member, I just wanted to say real quickly that I know there's concerns, mainly from executive producer Declan Goff, about Brian O'Neill's injury. I just want to lay 1 minute of knowledge on the Purple Daily community regarding this injury and put our concerns at least a little bit more to bed. So in terms of Achilles tendon injuries, there's 2 factors that we need to think of. Number 1, where did the rupture occur? Is it mid-substance, meaning that in the central area of the tendon, 2 to 6 centimeters proximal to where it attaches to your heel bone, or is it at the insertion of the heel bone? And I believe our sports dad had mentioned at one point that it was an insertional tear for Brian. So already that's a better sign than having a mid-substance tear, okay? Number 2, partial versus complete tear is a really big deal in regards to re-rupture rate after injury, as well as losing explosiveness after injury. Okay, so when Declan was saying things like, I worry about, big offensive linemen tearing their Achilles, absolutely right. Look at Phil Lodeholt, tore his Achilles 2015, retired the next year. Yep. When there's a mid-substance Achilles tear for these big linemen, it's almost a death sentence on the career. It's really hard to come back. However, with Brian's injury, it's partial. It's also at the insertion. It's a different surgery in terms of fixing that. We don't have to end-to-end repair the tendon. We can use bone anchors to tack that tendon back into the heel bone. The re-rupture rate and the loss of explosiveness is almost 0 after this procedure. So I think Brian's going to be completely fine.
I mean,
Dr. Alex.
Bone anchors?
Bone anchors, like wall anchors. Same thing, same idea. All right, guys, I got to get running. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Alex.
Have a great rest of your day.
Great stuff. Thank you. The medical knowledge was a cherry on top. We'll do it again sometime.
That sounds like great stuff.
I'm back in. I mean, the doctor said it right there. I'm in. I'm not worried anymore.
Dude, that was very calming, I think, if you're a Vikings fan. It's great. We don't know what we're talking about half the time. We bring a foot and ankle surgeon in here, and he can set us straight.
Yeah, and I'm also not as concerned about this one because while the man is big, Lord Holt was mammoth. Like
but they're both like over 300-pound human beings, right?
Right, but I'm just saying I think that Brian O'Neill is far more. It's not. I mean, Phil was just this huge man. I'm like, oh, he's done. This one, I feel pretty good right now.
I think wasn't Lodeholt a little older too? Maybe was he like
probably
closer to 30 years old?
He probably was, but I just remember how big he was. I feel like O linemen now aren't across the board as big as they were 10, 12 years ago.
Like you don't have any 380 pounders because you got to be able to move a lot of zone run blocking schemes. Right?
I don't feel they want you to be purposely as fat as they used to. If that.
Well, yeah, a lot of them, like they all have a little extra weight, but a lot of them are just like rooted in muscle and athleticism, especially the tackles, especially now. Yep. And then they get done playing and come back at like 125. They're unrecognizable. They're like models figures. Mm-hmm. So, wow, that was one of the great write that down appearances. I think he just comes out swinging with some touchdown parlays and then drops a bunch of Achilles tendon knowledge on us and then pieces out. I think his prediction on playing time is spot on for Cine and Asamoah. And I think he's going to be right on a Caleb Evans, assuming health there, though. And that's the one thing that concerns me. Yeah. 3 concussions in 1 year. Yeah. I know I think he's going to have a new helmet he's going to wear, but that's the one that concerns me. It's not that they don't want to play him. It's, can he stay healthy? Yeah. And like once you get 2 or 3 of them, it just becomes easier to get more. So yeah. All right. Let's go to Judd here. We'll make a couple trips around the room here and we'll do our predictions. So Judd, write this down. What do you got for us? Okay. I am going to provide you with my latest write that down on Danielle Hunter. Okay. Danielle Hunter, and I'm wording this way on purpose. So feel free to inquire as to why, but Danielle Hunter will return to the Vikings before their first preseason game. Will return, and here's why. Just on the off chance that he panics and comes back on that contract, which personally, off the record, I don't think he would do. But if I say we'll sign a new contract and he panics and comes back, I'm screwed then because I'm wrong. So we'll return to the Vikings. Odds are it will be with a new contract. Yeah. But I don't need to say that. Okay. Yeah, and by return, you mean like he'll be back with the Vikings. Yes, we'll return to the Vikings. Right now, yes. Right now, he'll be at practice. What if he's just like wearing jorts and a sleeveless T-shirt on the sideline? Does that count for? That counts. Yeah, because right now, it looks like the odds are a holdout or trade, but I think they'll resolve this. Okay. All right, Declan, what's your first prediction?
All right, I'm gonna hold serve with these 2 free agents that are still available out there. Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins will remain unsigned by next week's write that down. Okay. I think we're going to see training camp. Once training camp opens, they assess things a little bit. I think then you'll see those 2 dudes sign. But I'm going to go with the whole next week. Both these guys, Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins, will be unsigned.
Didn't DeAndre Hopkins meet at least once, maybe twice with the Patriots? Kind of feels like he's like, and they just all right, other teams, I'm going to sign here. I don't really want to, but I'll sign here if you don't show interest in. And I think I saw on ESPN that Dalvin has an offer. Might have been for the Dolphins, but yeah, they're definitely slow playing these, and I guess I don't blame them. If you're Dalvin, I just want to take the offer. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Just take the offer. Okay, let's write this down. All right, write this down. TJ Hockenson will eclipse 1,000 receiving yards for the first time in his career this year.
Okay.
He had 900 something last year. He will eclipse 1,000 receiving yards for the first time in his career this upcoming season.
I like it.
Write this down.
Like he's
Talk about being all
line.
quiet on the contract front. That's
it's all
just
quiet on all fronts now, though, right? Like there's
right, but it was in the offseason camps. Like I thought that would be not a big deal, but I thought it would be talked about more. But it just sort of it feels like there's just an assumption it gets done. Perhaps that's right.
I mean, I think the start of training camp is kind of a leverage point of like, hey, are we gonna? Everyone's back from their vacations, whatever. I mean, 4th of July weekend's over. This is kind of the groundwork laying period. So whether he signs a new contract or not, he will go over 1,000 yards, is what I'm saying.
Write this down.
All right, Judd.
All right, I'm going to run this back from a year ago, June. I made this prediction. It was wrong. It came off the board in red, but I'm going to do it again because I've got a feeling it might be true this time. Bill Belichick will no longer be the Patriots coach after this season. So Bill Belichick is coaching his final season. Coaching is the key word here. I'm not saying he won't stay employed. I'm not saying that he won't have a role. But Bill Belichick, this is going to be his final season as coach. He's 71. He turns 72 next April. I saw a story that he and Kraft might not be exactly seeing eye to eye. So I think this is it. I think this is a swan song for Bill Belichick.
It's like when Kraft and Belichick are like the parents that really didn't get along all that well, but the kid held the marriage together, and like Tom
kept
Brady
them together for TB12.
And then the kid went off and graduated, went to college, went down to
Bowl.
Tampa. Yeah. And now they're just kind of left to hang out with each other, and they don't really like it. I do wonder how it's going to affect Bill Belichick's, the way that we think about him, right? It would have been so clean for those guys to just kind of retire at the same time, or
it was
Belichick retires when Brady goes to Tampa.
A battle, right? To prove who could still win, and Brady won the battle.
But like, for what? You're 70. Everyone, if you're 70 years old and everyone thinks you're the greatest football coach of all time,
you're applying.
But there's a couple people out there. There's like a Skip Bayless or someone that says, well, but is it Brady or Belichick?
These guys
Brady.
Aren't normal. They are not
weird.
wired like us, which is, hey, I've had a great career. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah, and now he's kind of stuck because it's like, well, crap, if he doesn't stay until, don't they almost have to make a run? He's kind of gone too far now.
Oh, yeah.
Where if he retires now it'll look like,
but
he
this
really
is the equivalent of my rule, which is get out. Like in every sport, guys don't get out. I had the Twins game on driving home yesterday. Zach Greinke still trying to pitch. Not quite sure why.
Yeah.
Adam Wainwright still trying to pitch for the Cardinals. Okay, dude, you might want to retire. You stink.
Yeah. God, Wainwright, man. God, that guy's been around.
The curveball, I guess, just hangs there now. The Marlins hammered him.
Yeah, it's super
just retire,
weird.
Dude.
Write this down.
All right, Dex.
All right, next prediction for me, another free agent one. Write this down. Teddy Bridgewater will sign with the team by July 19th. That's 2 weeks from today, by the way. But Teddy Bridgewater, who is unsigned right now, still a free agent, he will sign with the team by July 19th. Write that down.
You know, I will say, considering him on the ground, like life in jeopardy, compound fracture, he's made a nice little career.
Yeah.
Being kind of a swing, like can start. He's a good kind of patchwork starter, backup. How many people thought that he would still be in the NFL like 6 years later? You know, it's pretty impressive. 7 years later. I think it's 2016, I think.
Write this down.
Okay. Write this down. I think the Vikings are going to send a message defensively on the first pass play of week 1. They're going to blitz on the first pass play of week 1. So they'll send an extra rusher, or I guess I'll just say they'll blitz. They'll blitz on the first defensive play against a pass against
Baker Mayfield back to pass, 1-on-1.
Harry the Hitman.
No, Booth gets beat. Oh my God, it's a touchdown.
God.
It'll be the Christian Watson play, but it'll work this time.
God. Thanks, positive Judd. Optimistic.
How different is last year if Christian Watson catches that damn ball? It was a touchdown. And I think it was Packers' first
is the
play.
season different? Like, so they might lose that game. I mean, they beat the brakes off the Packers.
Sure, but I just feel like the karma. I feel like that drop pass started some really good karma. or some good. Like some years you get the breaks, some years you don't.
Are you saying if Christian Watson catches that pass, that Jefferson doesn't catch the pass in Buffalo, and Josh Allen doesn't fumble, and they don't beat the Colts?
The Vikings, for all they got ripped for being, for not having a sustainable model of success, the Vikings got a lot of breaks. They created them at times as well. I'm just saying, Christian Watson, Patrick Peterson was beat dead to rights, and that ball went right through Christian Watson's hands, and that to me showed that it was going to be a fortuitous season.
Yeah. Wow, Judd taking my Vikings will blitz on the first play of the season prediction and saying that Booth is going to get torched on the play.
And he might not be on the field, to be honest with you. Okay, my third and final prediction is on a former Viking who remains unemployed. Write this down. Anthony Barr will not be on the NFL roster when training camp opens. Anthony Barr unsigned, coming off a season in Dallas, in which I think it's nearing the end. I mean, Barr in his prime was pretty damn good, but he's been hurt so much, he's been dinged up, and we are now into July. And I'm not saying that eventually he won't get signed in case of emergency, but I feel that he is very much a behind the glass guy right now. And you're only going to sign him if you have to break that glass in case of emergency.
Yeah, football comes at you fast. Once you get to be 29, 30 years old, and there's certain positions, linebackers, one of them, where that's tough. That's such an interesting career because he was a good player, really good player. Kind of felt like he peaked the first couple of years, and you always wonder, what if he would have gone to a different defensive system, and if he were used as more of an edge rushing 3-4 linebacker or something.
I don't think he was, in retrospect. I think he was a very productive, good player. I don't think he was worth a top 10 pick.
Yeah, well, the first or second year, it was definitely Zim told you so. Look how good he is.
100%.
But at the end of the day, he was a linebacker that didn't really dominate games throughout his career after the first. He dominated some games early, but
Harrison Smith has talked about like what he meant as far as like he was a key influence in the defense, and he was like a very, very smart player. I just don't know if when it's all said and done, you're going to have a conversation of Anthony Barr was a great top 10 pick. He's a good player.
Yeah. He's not a bust. He wasn't a bust.
No, far from it. But I would have preferred to get him around, I don't know, 14 or 15.
Or like in the second round, which I'm not saying. He's a linebacker,
Yeah. Or as a UDF.
Yeah, that would be great. Get your linebackers from the UDFA bin, which is what they're going to do now going forward. Before Declan and I make our last two predictions here, quick thank you to Summit Orthopedics for jumping in and partnering with us here on Score North and Purple Daily. If you are dealing with any type of pain, maybe you're a 30-year-old football player and you got some achy joints or something, I don't know, or you're just a jackal like us. Neck, back, spine, elbows, hands, wrists, knees, shoulders, hips. Summit Orthopedics can help. No referrals are needed. They offer same-day appointments. If you're really hurting, they also offer walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week from 8 a until 8 p. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. Also, a shout-out to our friends at Power Lodge. Boy, I'm sure a lot of you. Actually, someone sent us a note that their parents were jumping in. Was it at Miller Marine? I think it was Miller Marine. Yep. And they were in a Bennington pontoon. Miller Marine is the largest Bennington pontoon dealer in the country. Power Lodge with locations in Brainerd and Emmy, Ramsey, Miller Marine, and St. Cloud, Judd. It's throttle therapy season, baby.
And if you weren't out on the 4th in a Bennington, what were you doing? Because it was
what is wrong with you?
It's hot outside. It's a perfect time to get outside on the water, enjoy it. Summers are brief here. And as Phil just said, throttle therapy, incredibly important. In fact, if you are a Minnesota sports fan, I would say that throttle therapy, the doctor recommends it for right here. The sports doctor, the sports dad. He's
the foot and ankle doctor.
Now,
Alex just called back in.
Throttle therapy is a must, and it comes from being on a Bennington. And thank you to our friends who also support Purple Daily.
And Federated Insurance, too. Federated, like having a great offensive line offering protection for your business. Federated's corporate culture is grounded in equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect. These 4 cornerstones create the foundation that supports all interactions and decision-making And as a business owner, you might be wondering what more can you do to prevent risks at your company? This is where Federated comes in. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Dex, what's your final prediction of the week here?
All right, write this down. Let's go to week 1. In fact, let's go to Chiefs and Lions, who I believe kick off our NFL football season.
They do.
I'm very confused why it's the Lions, but
50 to
what?
to
People
14.
love the Lions right now.
I know it's too much. I can't take it.
It is too much, which is why I'm making this prediction. Write this down. Jared Goff throws a pick 6 against the Chiefs in week 1.
Wow, the slander.
Mackey's guy.
My guy. That's my
You
guy
did that on
right
purpose. That was very passive aggressive. I liked it.
I did.
Wow. Okay, I see where you're
I know
coming.
what
Okay,
we're going to get now.
Okay,
I know what we're
fine.
going to get.
Fine. Okay. Jared Goff will throw for more yards in week 1 than Kirk Cousins. My guy, Jared Goff, will throw for more yards in week 1 than Kirk Cousins. Now, it might be garbage time because the old Lions might be down, 41 to 17 late in the third quarter of that game. But I will not stand for this Jared Goff slander. We will end on a Jared Goff high note on this Wednesday episode.
You're unbelievable.
I crossed off a third prediction just so I could combat.
I figured you
Declan's
would.
there.
And you know what? Declan knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that you would come right back at that
Line
one.
and sinker. Yep.
We love lists on this show. So tomorrow, Declan's going to bring you the 10 most important Vikings players, right? As defined by Declan.
By me. There's no honorable mentions. It is just 10 of the most important players for the 2023 season.
Okay.
All right. So that list, very subjective, will be coming in hot tomorrow. We have
Greg
a feedback
Joseph, number
Friday
1.
to Greg Joseph. All right.
I can see it now.
Find out.
Good time.
Find out. Maybe he's won.
I bet he is.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Daily Vikings entertainment here. Yes, even in July.